It's been an interesting couple of days for Derby County. A whole host of transfer links to incoming signings, as well as the departure of Sonny Bradley. Well, now it looks like another player is going to be departing, and the rumour is that Joe Ward is going to be heading back down to League One to join Mansfield Town. Now, obviously, Joe Ward, over the course of his time at Derby County, had some really good moments, and also he's had some really, really bad ones, and ultimately, a bit similar to the likes of Corey Blackett-Taylor and players of that ilk, he just hasn't been able to find a way into the first team, and he's been impacted a lot by injury, as well as some other factors beyond his control, like the signing of Ryan Nyambe, Kane Wilson's excellent form, as well as the introduction of Jake Rooney towards the start of last season. Now, obviously, Joe Ward for me is a player who offered Derby County so much to start off last campaign, and that injury that he got where he ripped off the fat pad from his heel just sort of really turned his career at Derby County down. He started really well, was putting in some really, really good performances at right wing back, but picking up that injury, Wilson not being fit, and then being able to go and pick up Ryan Nyambe really sort of dropped him down the pecking order. Now, in my personal opinion, I'd have utilised Joe Ward as a player much further up the field in that right wing slot or right midfield slot, as opposed to where Paul Warne has done at times in that right back position. Now, I know I'm not the manager, I only see as much as you lot, but it's one of those for me where I just felt like he was never utilised properly in his position. Now, as I'm recording this, it has not been announced that he is going to... It hasn't been announced that he's going to Mansfield Town, but there is certainly an opportunity for him, it seems, and he seems to have followed across the Mansfield socials and things like that. Now, he came into Derby after a really good spell at Peterborough, 233 games there. I think it's something like 25 goals and about 35 assists across the course of that time period of his career. And he came into Derby and in the season and a half that he's been here, he's only made 33 appearances, scoring twice and setting up 3 goals. Now, ultimately, for me, I don't think he's been that bad. I think the problem is it's just the players in front of him have just been absolutely spectacular. Ryan Nyambe is unbelievable on the defensive end of the pitch. Kane Wilson is unbelievable going the other way. And Joe Ward he's got a really good delivery on him, really good set piece. But ultimately, we've got other players in the team can do that. And just once we went back to that back four last season, it just felt as if he was never going to get into the side. And then this season, obviously, we've played a large majority of the season with a back four. When we've played with a back five, I think he's made 3 or 4 appearances this season, maybe a couple more than that, but mainly off the bench. I thought he did really well a couple of weeks ago versus Burnley, and I think he put on a good display, which certainly will have put him in the shop window. And obviously, if we go back to the weekend, he stepped out of the team because of an injury doubt. Now, I personally believe that he stepped out because he didn't want to be brought on just in case a move is on the offing for him. And if that is the case, then I think everybody can agree that it's probably the right thing to do to let him go, because we can't have a player who's not willing to play throughout the month of January just because a move might happen or might not happen. And I really like Joe Ward. I think he's got a lot going for him. I think he's a really good player. I just don't think it's quite worked out at Derby County. I think if he'd have gone to a Pompey, maybe it might have worked out. A team that consistently plays a back five, or even a team that's willing to play him further forward like Peterborough did at times. And I do just think that's been the problem for Derby County. We've got too many options in that right back slot, too many options in the right wing back slot, and too many options in the wide positions. Now, ultimately, I believe he'd have been a better option on the wings rather than a Tom Barkhuizen. Or even really a Corey Blackett-Taylor over the course of the last few months. But we never really gave him that opportunity, whether it be down to injuries or whatnot, or we'd just change systems if we didn't have Nat or Caden or things like that. So it's disappointing that he's going to depart in this fashion, and it is sad to see Joe Ward move on, because obviously he came in with so much promise from Peterborough with such... not necessarily a high profile, but for the division, for League One, he did have a high profile and was seen as one of the best wing backs in the division. And ultimately, an early injury, Kane Wilson's resurgence of fitness, and Ryan Nyambe coming in sort of stopped him ever being able to really make a difference for Derby County. Now, as well as Joe Ward potentially moving on to Mansfield, we've got a couple of youngsters to talk about, with Tony Weston extending his loan spell at Boston United and Lennon Wilden returning from the Pilgrims. Now, for me, Tony Weston, I'm not surprised about. I personally think at the end of the season he'll be released from his contract. Lennon Wilden, I think he'll probably end up back out on loan again, but it wouldn't surprise me to keep him with the 21s, to keep an eye on him with the first team and things like that. Or potentially a deal where trains and plays with a semi-pro non-league side that train twice a week and then trains with us the other days to do recovery and stuff like that. So it's going to be an interesting one for those youngsters. I spoke about it in my Leyton Orient preview, which should have been released this morning, that I believe Derby County really just need to give the youngsters a go. Give the likes of, get Dan Cox in the side, get Niall McAndrew in the side, give Cruz Allen a run out, give Dejon Brown a run, get Jake Rooney in the starting 11, just get them back into playing football properly. And that's something which I think needs to be discussed a lot more under Paul Warne. Is yes, it's okay bringing in these players who have experience and things like that, but ultimately we need to make money, and a lot of that money is going to come from our youngsters coming through. And there is a lot of good players coming through. Obviously, I speak about the likes of Cruz Allen, Niall McAndrew, Dan Cox, Lennon Wilden, Dejon Brown. Obviously, Jake Rooney, if he can get back fit, another youngster to add to the tally. And we've got a really good young core coming through. The likes of Owen Eames has been really surprising this season, because a lot at Derby County wrote him off year on year on year, but his hard work, his determination has put him in an excellent position within that under-18s, under-21 squad, which I think he'll make it first team level at Championship? Not entirely sure, but he's of that similar ilk, not to Erin Cashin in the way that he plays or position or anything like that, who just always seems to find a way to stay in the academy. And it'll be interesting to see if Owen Eames can make it all the way up. I think he's got bags of potential. Whether that will be with Derby County or another team in the Football League, I do think he'll fulfil it, and I do think he'll end up having a career in the Football League. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the course of the next few weeks. Obviously, there's been a lot of rumours regarding Louis Barry. Obviously, there's the Polish fullback who looks as if he's set to sign for Plymouth Argyle, but don't count your chickens until they're hatched, because we saw with Ben Godfrey just a few days ago, all signed, sealed to go to Leicester, ended up moving to Ipswich. You've then obviously got the conversation about Tom Curzons from Ilkeston Town, which I think would be a good deal for Derby County. Maybe an 18-month, 2-year deal. Send him out on loan for his first season to League Two, see how he gets on, and then go from there with that. You've obviously got the departure of Sonny Bradley, which is a massive departure for Derby in terms of the depth chart. I'll put it on screen now, because we now only have three centre-backs. In Nat Phillips, Erin Cashin and Curtis Nelson. Obviously, heading into this weekend, Cashin won't play, so it'll be interesting to see how Derby County set up, because right now we can't play a back three, whatever we want to do, because we don't have that option of a centre-back. Now, if any transfers do happen over the course of the next few days, heading up to game day versus Leyton Orient, I will be sure to stick across it. If you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. Let's say a good goodbye to Joe Ward. Hope all the best for his career, should this move to Mansfield go through, and I'll catch you in my next video. See ya.